Chocolate has been given all kinds of labels, the food of the gods, an aphrodisiac, and now made in America. The first ever U.S. grown chocolate, Hawaiian Vintage Chocolate, is getting good reviews from chefs around the country who say it compares with the best Belgian and French confections. Jim Walsh, the man responsible for creating this new taste sensation, is joining us now with his sweet American success story. I must admit ignorance. I didn't realize chocolate wasn't grown in the United States.
Yeah.
Most people don't. Most people think it comes from brown cows in Switzerland or cute little towns in Pennsylvania.
Hershey, right.
That's right, Hershey, right. And what we did is we went 10 years ago around the world and collected the best genetics of cocoa and took it to Hawaii.
This is how it starts?
It starts
I also didn't know it started looking like
It needs a tropical climate?
Needs a tropical climate, needs rainforest conditions, and it grows in a beautiful tree that these pods grow in.
So this is the inside of a chocolate pod?
That's the inside.
And this is what it looks like before it's...
Well, go ahead and taste one. Go ahead and taste one of these, Charlie.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be delighted to taste one, yeah.
Okay, now wait a minute. Real men
That's right.
would taste the raw.
And just suck on the outside, because that was the original product. The Central Americans just suck the outside for strength. It's sugars. These sugars drive the fermentation of the product. That fermentation turns it from a vegetable to a seed. Like that.
Well, no, it has a seed inside.
Oh, okay.
That was the polite way of doing it.
The
It's
seed comes
sweet.
out of there, and then this gets dried out?
Well, actually, the fermentation is the transformative part, just
I'll
like
just say
wine.
it tastes a little like a lychee nut, just so you know.
So it turns it into from a vegetable to a transformative
like a
to a bean, and then the beans age for a year in Hawaii, and then we turn it into a chocolate.
Yes, there's less sugar in this.
Oh, there's significantly less sugar. You don't need sugar if you have wonderful beans.
And
beans don't have to
calories.
be bitter.
Hello.
Less calories.
Now, I gather chefs are using this stuff.
Well, before we get to that part, I want
okay.
you to taste this.
Oh.
This chocolate grows on black lava slopes of America's only active volcano.
So good.
So henceforth, we have hot chocolate for you this morning.
Oh, it's terrific.
Growing cacao in Hawaii is that as we develop new germplasms, they will be protected by our U.S. patent laws, which wouldn't necessarily be the case if the crop was developed and grown in other countries.
The methods that we're using are different than the standard methods that are used to test cacao, because the standard methods are used to look for chemicals that the FDA or the Food and Drug Administration is looking for, that generally come from third world countries, which are chemicals that might be banned here in the United States.
Hello, I'm Carolyn O'Neill, CNN's food and health correspondent. Welcome to On the Menu. And pineapple and other tropical products have a long agricultural history in Hawaii, but here's a newcomer. You may not recognize them, but these beans will soon be chocolate. It's a first, the USA's only homegrown chocolate here in Kona on the Big Island of Hawaii.
Well, this place is the only place in the United States that can grow cocoa. And we've been doing it since 1986, developing varieties that grow with the special climate of Hawaii and give a special flavor.
And Jim Walsh is passionate about pushing his chocolate, which is called vintage because, like wine, each batch is labeled by the season of its harvest. Which brings us back to the land and a lesson in cocoa. Cacao is the name of the plant, which bears these pods full of cocoa beans. Incidentally, it takes 10 pods to make a pound of chocolate. A whack with a machete reveals the true innards of a cocoa pod, kernels covered in a slimy white coating, which are then fermented to achieve maximum chocolate flavor.
This product, if you put your hand in, we turn this once a day because these beans right now are at about 125 degrees. When you taste a wine that's well fermented, what you do is you get a full bouquet of flavors. That's the same thing here. This has about 13 different notes, chocolate notes you get when you taste the chocolate, instead of just a single chocolate flavor.
The next step is sun roasting the beans. Another unique process here since other companies oven roast their beans.
When you roast a cocoa bean, the only reason you roast it is to pop the shell off like a peanut. And what you're left with is the inside of the cocoa kernel, called a cocoa nib, and that's chocolate. Get presented.
Want to share a candy bar?
That's probably a box of candy right there.
Really? Then here's the final product, organically grown, vintage Hawaiian chocolate, ready to taste. Better than those raw beans. Chefs who work with a world of chocolate like Hawaii's new crop, too. You see it featured on restaurant menus. And Philippe Padovani, executive chef at Maneli Bay Hotel on the island of Lanai, says this Hawaiian-born chocolate inspires him.
This chocolate from Hawaii is incredible in taste. We're just releasing 94 Vintage, released 2 weeks ago. And chocolate has a nice earthy taste. It's like a great wine.
But like a room with a great view of the Pacific surf, quality comes with a price. Hawaiian Vintage Chocolate sells for $28 a pound.
I love it. Love it. It's very nice.
Warm sun, sandy beaches, beautiful sea.
Palm trees swaying.
Could you ask for anything better?
No.
And it's American.
I know.
Not French.
Made in America.
Not owned by the frogs. It's American. No French, no Belgium. Why are these better than any other chocolate in the world?
Well, I want to go back to your name. You know, when you respelled it to Rich Noble.
Yes.
Well, this is the food of the gods.
Oh, there you
so
got it.
It's
You see
only
it?
appropriate that we
Jim Segway.
Yeah,
right.
there you go.
Actually, the thing that makes this unique is that these are unique varieties that have been bred over the last 8 years for Hawaii's soils. These grow on the rainforest side of the Big Island. These grow on the dry
Big
side.
Island being Hawaii.
Right.
Now, we grew these out over 7 islands and tested what varieties did the best in what soils and what climates. And I want to show a picture here of what this bean starts
What you
out
want, you get, Jim.
Jeez,
here
I know. A
at
segue, I was calling for video, still store.
That's right.
Woo!
I can go home early tonight.
You
There
see,
you go.
that's the pod that grows on a tree. It's about the size of a papaya. Inside are these beans wrapped in a beautiful white, like a liquid.
Is the chocolate
ferment.
bean.
They ferment for 2 weeks, just like grapes. We age them for a year to get rid of the acid.
Just like wine.
Then we take it to our manufacturing plant, and we roast them just to take the shell off. And the inside here is chocolate. You grind that up, and that's chocolate.
You know who I
weeks I've been
first
away
heard
from.
about this chocolate from? It was our friend Emerald.
Really?
When we were down in New Orleans.
Oh,
he
my
started
rival.
telling me about
My
this.
rival. You're
No,
going to
I
bring
don't
his
wanna
name
bring-
up every night now I'm back, right? I don't want to hear about Emerald.
No, you know what's interesting about this? You just tasted that chocolate. This is dark chocolate. This is a bittersweet chocolate. And you know what dark chocolate normally tastes like? It leaves that, like, that
You're about
aftertaste.
to talk yourself into
And it's-
trouble, but
No,
yes,
I'm not
go
going to talk
on.
myself into trouble. And that's because actually the beans are not great beans. They add lots and lots of sugar, and this doesn't have that bitter aftertaste at all.
I'm really
our beans
interested
are-
that this once again is a sexual food.
That's right.
Okay, we're trying to rise above that for just 1 second.
Well, I'm going to eat a lot of these.
Well, in
Okay.
fact, Montezuma, the Aztec dictator, who actually was the
No, that
guy-
was the other end of life.
Yes, well, he drank 80 goblets of this before he'd go in and service his harem.
No kidding.
Yes.
Oh, you
it's-
had to mention a harem.
That's right.
Is that a true story?
That's a true story. That's why Cortez became interested in it, the Spanish explorer, and he brought cocoa beans all across the Caribbean and ultimately to Europe.
He wanted Montezuma's
He
harem.
knew the Queen would like this.
Yeah, he was
knew
doing
the
it for the
Queen
Queen,
would like it.
sure.
That's right.
Like, we're going to believe that. Now, your company's very new. 1986 you started?
1986, we started breeding the trees. It took 7 years to get unique Hawaiian varieties that expressed the taste of the chocolate depending on where they're grown.
Right,
And then 2 years ago, we started developing this chocolate for people like Emerald
right.
and all the
Our
other
friend
chefs
Emerald.
that have been mentioned.
Don't want to
Right.
hear him.
What made you think it could grow?
It was a planned miracle. Basically, we went there with the concept that varietal coffee, varietal macadamia nuts, those things grow in Hawaii and grow well.
But chocolate didn't grow in Hawaii before you did it. Does
No.
it grow anywhere else in the United States?
It grows nowhere else in the United States. It's America's only homegrown chocolate, and it's the world's only vintage chocolate.
And it is wonderful.